Hello and roar. How's everybody doing? I was trying to type in the chat, but between my hands and this keyboard, and being distracted, it just wasn't going to work. But where we got? Who we got here? We got 3 people. Come on, people. Everybody deserted me today. Let's see. Who's on? Hi, Rosie and Gabriel. Are you two the only guys here? On people here? Besides me. Oh, there's Dan. Oh, let's hear. What? I mean, I'm not in any hurry. If you guys want to sit around for a minute and wait for a couple of people to go, because 2 people just kind of, hey, Rosie Posey. Is this thing accurate with saying 2 people? Wow. Just a minute. Somebody else here too? Well, it says 2. I don't think counts me. I doubt it. Wow. I'm in a bomb. It is so effing hot here. Maybe I should end it for a minute. Let me see if I can do some fun stuff. Oh, hey. Yay, we have liftoff, but we have 2 people in here. Nobody's here. I mean, you 2 people are special. You're super special. Thanks for hanging in there. Oh, hold on, I can't hear anything. Oh, it's because my freaking mic or my speakers were muted. Okay. Oh, wait. Where'd she go? Hey, Gabriel and Dan. Okay, we got 5 people in here now. What? A whole 5 freaking people. Yeah, oh, 4. I lost somebody. There we go. That's just how it goes. I had 5 people until I opened my mouth, huh? I feel like this should be here. I think I'm. Hey, Harley. I don't know. Okay, well, it looks like we're not getting any more than 4 people. 4 people, and then my dog's gonna get into stuff in the kitchen. Okay, everybody that's here, and never mind, I'm not that's gonna go with me. Okay, we are going to talk about common mistakes made by fish keepers. This was a really good idea when it was a really good idea when it got proposed to me, but I think I've kind of read it too many times. Ooh, rain and mild thunderstorms. That sounds peaceful. Well, I guess I'm going to just tell you guys, which Danny almost ruined it last night anyway, but I have a little surprise. You guys get to finally put a face to a name, because when we started talking, when I was given the idea to do mistakes and advice and things like that as a topic, I thought about doing it myself, and then I thought about doing it with other people, and I asked a few people, and then someone volunteered. So yes, we do have a special guest, and you finally get to put a face with the name. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mel.
Hey guys. Good to see y'all.
We got 4 people in here, a whole 4 effing people.
I don't know how this works. I can't even see
well, at the top of the chat. It says the time, and then it has an I and a number. Oh, he left. We'll figure this out. Don't worry. Where'd you go? I've never done this before, so you have to bear with me. I guess you don't have to, but it'd be awfully nice. This is nice. Yeah. I think I'm going to see if there's any sort of a delay. Does anybody know how to change this delay? don't know how to do it. It doesn't let me, I don't think. I was trying to show you. Okay, here, we'll add Mel back. Here she comes.
My
She's
fault.
back.
Figuring this out.
Yeah, that's what I just said. I was like, we're figuring
I
it
hit a
out.
button.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it. Okay, so Dan says hey. Rosie says hey. You don't know Rosie. Rosie's my friend. You've seen her probably if you've been to any of my lives. And then Gabriel was up there somewhere. And I think that's all we got. And then Harley's watching on the sidelines. So, okay, so we decided that Mel was going to come talk to me, Mel the Magnificent. So here's the problem, though. Mel doesn't make mistakes. No mistakes, Mel. No, I'm just kidding. No. Tell them what I'm talking about.
I just don't have a lot of stories where I could be like, oh, I lost an entire tank. Knock on wood, knock on all the wood. Where I could be like, oh, I made a huge mistake and it was awful. Not yet.
Not yet. Knock on wood. I knocked on wood for you. I got a wood coffee table. Don't tell my
I'm trying to figure out how I can see the chat though, because it's not letting me see the chat or anybody. Hold on.
Are you on mobile? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm on my phone. Okay. Now I can sort of see. Yeah, now I can see them.
I can see you too. Earlier, just a minute ago, you were frozen.
Yeah, I'm on my phone.
It's all those books. Look, he's already messing with you, Mel. Okay,
yeah.
So we're going to take Mel's perspective of the lucky one of being careful enough that she has not had too many screw ups. And if you look under my name, it's got a tag there. I've earned that title, professional F-up. So I not only wanted Mel's perspective, but Christopher being in the hobby for like years and years and years and years because he's so old and everything. I only say that because he's not in here to defend himself. No, no, he's been in the hobby for many years, so I asked him about a lot of things, especially when it comes to killifish. And so he was kind enough to provide me with some things that maybe more experienced fish keepers might do, mistakes they might succumb to. Some of them, I don't know, some of them were kind of like, we'll get to it. Anyway, so, okay. Hey, we've got 5 people in here now. All right, so I was going to say, this is why I like video.
Excuse me while I smoke my cannabis stick.
As long as you're not giving secondhand to us. I'll let it get mine. Okay, so we've got some of the common mistakes that, I've read a lot, listened to a lot, and made a little list of things that seem to be common. Now, there are things like that every beginner does, like listening to Petco or finding the one source on the internet, and that's their go-to for everything, and they never actually do any research. Or there's a billion of them. I mean, everybody's got their own little. I didn't know what a cycle was. I didn't know what a bacterial bloom was. I cleaned my tank, changed the gravel, all that stuff for 2.5 months before I finally figured out what's going on with the bacterial bloom. Okay, so yeah, there's plenty of beginner stories, but I know that most of the people that do watch, the 5 people that do watch, are past the beginner. That beginner stage of making the basics, So once you've got to pass a certain point, you really got to mess it up. You really got to get into it to make it done right. To really show your experience, you got to mess it up good. So
how you learn.
Yeah, right. Yep. Yeah, Rosie and I were talking about that earlier, how we can tell everybody, give kids the knowledge all we want, tell them our mistakes, but until they do it themselves, experience it themselves, they're likely not going to learn anyway.
If you're really good, you try to learn from other people's mistakes.
Oh, if you're really good like me, you do it 2 or 3 times just to be sure you made the mistake right. See, Dan said it was years before he heard of the nitrogen cycle.
Yeah, when I started, I did everything backwards.
Backwards from
that's usually how it works. Yep, like you just like you decide you're gonna get into fish keeping, and then you do all the research, and then
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the way most people do because we grab the fish thinking, oh, it's fun, it's going to be great, and we have no idea the rabbit hole we're diving down.
Yeah.
So, and then we get lost, and there we go. Everybody's on their own path with it. So, but never mind. Feel like I had something to say, but it's gone. You guys are gonna have to excuse me because, like, I literally did not sleep last night, so I'm a little cotton brained. So, some of the things that we wrote down were, like I said, the beginner things, of course, overfeeding, all that stuff. One was like forgetting or getting distracted when draining or filling a tank. Mel has not done this.
No, I don't use a Python.
you've never like even with the 5-gallon bucket, never overfilled the bucket or nothing.
Nope.
Oh my God.
Not once. But if that was gonna be like something I would risk or be risking, I would definitely set a timer if I was gonna walk away from the tank.
Yeah, that's a good idea, especially if you know about how long it takes you to get to a certain point. Anyway, one time we got really lucky because it was a bare bottom tank and it was just some little juveniles, too big to fit in the siphon, but too small to worry about having too much water in. Well, we started draining their tank and I was like, we're going to take at least 50. The nitrates are super high. The tank is overstocked because they're my juvenile grow out tank. Forgot. Looked over. I happened to glance over because I heard a hissing of the air line, I think, coming out of the top of the filter, and I went like this. Like I literally did the triple, the what the, and there was this much water left, like just covering the back of the Corys. Ooh. Like I was like, oh my God, like yeah. So she jumps up because she's faster than I am, so I always make her get up. She jumped up, yanked it out of the tank, and she was like, "I'm so sorry, babies. We're so sorry." But we were lucky because we didn't have the siphon all the way down in there. Right. It was still up enough, so we stopped siphoning it out. But we were siphoning it out into the tub.
Right.
So that would not have been good. Which, like I said, the Corys were too big to fit in the siphon. But I almost dried them out. I almost had Cory jerky. That would not have been good. So.
Oh man.
I have a friend who has the opposite problem. She forgets when she's filling a tank. And a fool doesn't learn, a smart man learns from his own mistakes, and a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. That is very true. Here, I'm going to put that. Yep. Everybody can see, oh, Dan, I'm going to make Dan YouTube famous. But at some point, you're she left me again. We'll have to wait till she comes back. But anyway, I have a friend that she's awfully kind. Let's say I could use her as an example. At least I think she told me I could. There we are.
My fault. Again. Yeah, I won't hit anything else, I promise.
Don't touch it. Don't even look at it.
No touchy. No touchy.
But my friend had the opposite problem. She sorry. Apparently I can't breathe correctly either. Anyway, she has the opposite problem. She tends to overfill, and she's done that multiple times. So her husband is actually pretty ingenious. He built her a little alarm with it makes a loud, obnoxious beeping sound.
Kind of like a float valve?
Well, it's like one continuous tone. It's like, ee, like that. But she places the prongs in the tank where she wants the water at. And when the water gets to a certain level, it sets the alarm off. So it reminds her to come check on it.
Yeah, that's smart. Or you could just not walk away.
Yeah. Well, sometimes when you got multiple tanks, it's kind of hard to do that. So
very true. Or it's ginormous and takes forever.
Yeah. And so forgetting the chlorinator is one too, but that one is.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just like before I do a water change, like or anything, I like to liken it to checking for phone keys and wallet before you walk out the door. You want to make sure that everything's unplugged. Just do a checklist in your head. and just make sure that everything you're going to need is right there out in front of you, like the dechlorinator and whatever else you're going to use, and just go through a list, in your head of, make sure that you got everything ahead of time.
Yeah, I'm a little OCD because I don't want to say another term for it, but I have a tendency to be a little over prepared. Over prepared for things. So, like, I will write a list of things I need to do, and then I will go through that list and order it alphabetically or in order of importance or whatever, and I will do all this stuff before I even do what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's why Anita does most of the stuff, because I'm preparing to do it, so she does it. No, but things like forgetting dechlorinator and stuff can be a big deal. But I'm lucky because I've forgotten dechlorinator before, but we have almost no chlorine, and when it does have a little bit of too much chlorine, you can tell, you can smell it before you even do anything with it. So there's no way of fixing the chlorinator in that situation. So it's either a lot or none. So so far it hasn't bit me in the butt, so I'm hoping it doesn't. So anything to add to that? Dan says he's just winged it his whole life. Lucky. And Mel, Rosie loves your jacket.
Thank you.
Cecil say, he overflowed his 55-gallon the other day.
Yeah, if I'm not reading comments, it's because it's not letting me see them, and I can't figure it out, because every time I hit a button, it just makes me disappear.
Okay, I will put them on the screen so you can see them. Hold on. Here's that one. There's Cecil. And then he said he overflowed his 55-gallon the other day. I haven't overflowed a tank, but it was, I think, a 10-gallon. And I literally looked over just in time to see it as it was creeping over the edge. So, and let's see. Oh, Chris is in here. She says, hey.
Hello.
Dan says, of course, he's just winged it his whole life. Hey, skipping quarantine is another one that people think is more common in beginners, but actually I've actually heard a lot of stories from people who I would consider pretty experienced that are like, well, I should because of this, but I don't.
Right. That's the whole getting too comfortable and confidence thing too. The longer you do it.
Yeah, you get this false sense of everything's okay and it's gonna be okay no matter what I do. It's just not. Yeah. I used to skip quarantine because would like everybody thought, oh well, you should do it, but I'm not gonna, that whole thing. As I'm just gonna put them with my fish. I know where they're coming from. They're good. They're fine. I'm just gonna say around 50-ish fish in my one tank. I don't really know an exact number. I just know there were plenty of them. It was very well stocked. It was nice. And I tossed a little black skirt in there that I got from a reliable, reputable source. And I've gotten plenty of fish from them. And she wasn't showing any signs of illness, wasn't showing anything. I put her in there 2 to 3 days later. My fish were covered in pistolis, and I don't know if I'm saying that. Epistolis or
I've heard it said epistylus too.
Yeah, I've heard it both ways. I was about to remember the other one. But
Can't tell.
He had huge red blotches all over them. And I did some research, found out it was bacterial hemorrhagic septicemia, which basically turns their blood into poison. And so I spent 2 weeks of walking into my fish tank with anywhere from 1 to 5 fish dead on the substrate of my tank for 2 weeks. I lost well over half my tank.
Yeah, I've gotten pretty lucky and have not dealt with that. Even many times I didn't quarantine, but every time I didn't quarantine, I always made sure I got them from a good source.
Right.
I knew where they were coming from. Didn't, and I don't know. I guess I didn't know for a fact that they had already been quarantined, but I had good luck with them in the past. But I don't know, the longer that I do it and the more horror stories I hear, it's like now I'm just more on the safe side the longer I do it.
Right. You've got the means and there's no like actual reason to be in a hurry. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and I mean, the only, and you have, like, I have the means to quarantine. I may not have anywhere to put the damn tank, but if I have to, I can set the damn thing on the floor and fill it with water if I have to. You know, I can figure something out. I've got the tanks. There's no reason for me not to quarantine.
Right.
So for me to skip that, it's okay. It's not a big deal. I know where I'm getting it from. Why would I risk it? I've got other fish. Now, if it was like, I mean, I guess if I didn't give a damn, but I like my fish. You know, I don't care that they weren't expensive. I enjoy watching my fish. I enjoy having them. And I don't enjoy spending hundreds of dollars that I don't have on medication to try to fight something that I could have
Right.
in a 10-gallon tank. You know?
Right.
So, I mean, it just, I don't, other than just honestly being lackadaisical and just not caring, I don't know what your reason to not quarantine would be.
I don't know. Some people are just in a hurry to get them in the tank. You know, they wanted to get them in the display tank, and they want to see them, you know, in the display tank, and can't wait. Patience is important.
I know, of course, there are situations where you don't want to, and you know, you have these small reasons, but I think it's just a matter of, Dan says it depends on circumstances.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I don't know of any circumstance where, unless you just really weren't able to, why you shouldn't, or why you should just be like, nah, never mind. I can see where you would think you were okay to be and be, you know, complacent in the idea of not quarantining, but actually like choosing not to because you just don't want to.
Right.
Does that make sense? I don't know.
Maybe he's talking about like what I was talking about. Like I haven't really run into those problems you have by not quarantining, but you know, it's like a roll of the dice every time. But I guess it definitely matters source, like, you know, where your fish are coming from for sure.
Right. That does
in my opinion.
But even then,
yeah.
And stuff like that can cause something to pop up. And
yeah.
I mean, it's just, if you've got the means, like I said, I can understand if it's just like one tank and you're running the risk and you don't have anywhere else to put it, and or you've had an emergency situation and you have literally nowhere else but a bucket to put this damn fish, something like that. You know, I could see. Or like he said, I've had fish in my quarantine when I got new fish before. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, you just restart the clock on the fish that are already in quarantine when you put new fish in there.
Yeah. Yeah, you choose whether to put it in your main in with the tank and put it in with the fish quarantine. I mean, I would definitely go every time. Well, I hate to deal in absolutes and say I will do this because unless I've been there, I don't know if I will.
Right.
So, but yeah, I don't know. I guess because since I lost my dog, thank you. Since I had such a severe consequence, I guess, from not quarantining that one time, because I did the same thing. Oh, it's not happening to me. I'm fine. I know what, you know, and I just didn't bother. And then I definitely didn't bother, and I got bothered. So,
right.
I mean, and it wasn't even about like the price of the fish or anything like that. It was literally that I would walk in every day and I would see my fish dead and dying on the substrate, and I couldn't do jack shit about it. I was already doing everything I knew how to do.
Right.
But if I put her in a tank for 30 days and observed her, I would have seen that stuff, and I could have avoided the whole thing. But you know, and mine wasn't. No, I didn't have any excuse other than I got excited and I threw her in the tank.
Right.
I wanted to go with the other black skirt. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess it comes down to your personal, I believe, of how lucky you are. So
you can only be lucky for so long.
Right.
That's why I've started being more of a stickler about that type of thing now.
Yeah. Some of the other things that were on my list that were, you know, between you and Christopher and the things I watched and read. One of the things was overconfidence and ignoring basics or becoming lax. Like we were just talking about, just, you know, being like, it'll be okay. like skipping checking your water parameters. Some people do, some people don't, but usually the people who don't get away with it are ones that know their tanks well enough. They don't have to test to always know what's going on in their tanks. They can just,
Right, but it's still a good practice to every now and again, like, just even if it's just a test strip, like, hey, I wonder what my tank, because tanks change, over time.
I don't think
and every little change that you do, like, oh, I trimmed the plants last week, or oh, the plants are this much bigger, or I added new fish. Like your tank is going to change over periods of time, and it's just, I mean, to me, it's worth it. I mean, when I first started, when I was cycling my first tank, and I didn't have any other tanks, I was brand new. I was doing efficient cycle, and I would do with the liquid test or API liquid drop test kit. I would do it every day. And then I started being able to predict, the results, and I kind of backed off on testing every day. But here now and again, I'll still, dip a test strip, in there every now and again, just because it doesn't hurt and it only takes like a minute.
Yeah. And I'm not I'm a nerd though. Like I love playing with the drops and the vials and all that jazz. And I love nothing better than whenever it's time to test all the tanks, because
it's science time.
I get my little vials and I get my little up and have my bottles all laid out and my vials in a row and my tanks labeled and everything ready to go, and then I just do my little drops and I'm good.
Yeah.
So.
But you have way more tanks than I do.
I know, and honestly, I test way more than even I think is necessary.
Right.
Like I said, I like the process. So plus it's cool to see like exactly the differences in your tank every day, from day to morning to night and day to day. I just like that kind of stuff. I always have. So, and there are some people that don't hardly test at all, and like I said, they can tell you what's going on with their water right then, and then they can know, hey, something's going on, so I should test and see exactly what's up. So they don't have to do like weekly tests like some people do, like me, my OCD self needs to do. But I don't think I'll ever get confident enough to believe that I'm completely capable of looking at that clear water with them swimming around in it and saying, oh yeah, the pH is 7.2 on a day yesterday before yellow.
Right.
Sorry, I'm being rude. But anyway, but yeah, so testing and another thing is doing maintenance. Like, and when I say maintenance, don't think I'm talking about you have to do weekly water changes but like a routine that you've got where you keep track of what's going on with your tank, be it once every 2 weeks, once every week, once a day, like I do with because I'm obsessive and stare at my tanks all the time. But there's some sort of routine or something. When you let that go and you just stop going like, there's a tank, it's over there, and you're not paying attention, that's when things start to go haywire.
Yep.
I knew science.
It's always when you're not looking.
Right. Yep. Gotta look every once in a while. And that's another thing. It's like ignoring or not even noticing early warning signs of things. Like fish flashing, or seeing little bits of algae, or like hydra or something in your fry tanks, or things that if you had taken the time and you had stopped and maybe actually looked at your tank instead of being like, oh, it's good, it was good yesterday, it's good the day before, it's good, just paying attention, which everybody does it, and pretty much anything you do, when you do it enough, you get complacent. You kind of feel like you're on auto movement or whatever. What is that word I'm trying to look for? Anyway.
Autopilot.
Thank you. F&A. Anyway, so yeah, that was the whole point, becoming lackadaisical and just letting things run on autopilot instead of being diligent. But a lot of this stuff that we do is part of the hobby, and it's not just because we do things our own way, in a way that works for us. So we personalize it, but at the same time, we all have little things about it, about the maintenance or about the fish or whatever. We all have our little thing that really hooks us in on the hobby. And like, I don't know, I'm kind of a multi-prong approach. I love landscape, I love escaping, I love the testing, I love I love it all right now. So I'll figure out later what my issue is. So, but we've all got something that really brings us to the hobby, and a lot of people. I totally lost my train of thought. I was really going somewhere with that.
You were saying a lot of people they when they get complacent, and done it forever, and a lot of people, they don't take the time to enjoy the tank and watch what it's doing. They're just letting it cause them stress, it becoming a chore, and then they don't want to do it anymore, and they don't they don't notice things like they used to, or they it's just not enjoyable to them anymore, is what you're talking about.
But yeah, I mean, we get in that autopilot mode, and that kind of thing will happen. Anyway, there's let's see, we talked about the not noticing world signs. Things like overstocking, but it's not just overstocking though. It's stocking too quickly. Both are separate things, and they are both problems if you don't know how to handle it. You okay?
Yeah, I think overstocking is I mean, it's like anything with a hobby. There's caveats to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can do a lot of things in this hobby that, and get away with it if it's done correctly.
Yeah, that's what I said. If you know what you're doing, yeah. But like one of the biggest things that I did with the curse tank, the tank that I tell everybody's cursed because I've had problem after problem after problem with it. I think my biggest mistake that I made. Well, I'm like I said, a multi-pronged girl, so I had a two-prong approach to this mistake. I did them both. I overstocked and I stocked too quickly. I knew that having a cycled filter, that meant that it could handle the bioload of fish, and I knew you could add fish after that. I did not realize that adding them all at once or in large numbers at once would be problematic. I didn't realize the whole extent of the cycle. I didn't know that it just grows to the bioload and you have to give it time to catch up and all that jazz. So I had 6 Colombian tetras, and then I added 4, I think, black skirts, and then I got a bucket of about 28 skirt tetras and 5 Colombian tetras, and I acclimated them and put every one of them things in my tank.
On the same day?
Oh, yeah, in the same hour. Like all it was, like I mean, the tank was cycled. It had plenty of filtration stuff. It wasn't that it couldn't handle it, but going from 0 to 60 in 5.2 would be a little stressful on the engine. So, anyway.
It's a good way to put it.
But I think that's part of the reason I've had so many problems, not because I had well-stocked. I don't call it overstocked because they had plenty of hiding. They weren't fighting. They had plenty of places to go away from each other. It was just a lot of fish in a small area.
Stocking too much too quickly.
Yeah, that was the big thing. Now, if I could have added fish quickly, but not added in that volume. I could have chose one or the other, and I would have been okay. But doing it all I think that was part. And then, of course, I didn't have enough filtration when I finally started really putting fish in or changing fish up and stuff. I had sponge filters, which was plenty of filtration, but I didn't really know the site, like the ins and outs of filtration and stuff like I do now. Well, sort of. So I don't know. I did not have adequate filtration. I'm not sure where I went wrong because it should have been adequate filtration, but I did not. I think it might have been my pumps. My pumps were too weak until I got these new ones. But so I think that's where I messed up because it stressed everything, the fish, the ecosystem, because I had a beautiful, well, I showed you my tank.
Yeah.
Before the first tank, how like lush and green it was and everything. And now I look at it. But I mean, and I can't help but feel if I would have taken a minute to do a little more research in depth into what I was doing, I might have been able to avoid it. I might have gone slower, might not have had the fish load I had right away, but I might have been a little bit easier on me. So
right, but all those, all those plants will come back, and it's a learning experience.
yeah, it was my first planted tank. So I mean, my first planted
Right.
and dirty tank. So I mean, I know it's I just was doing so good with it for like 5 minutes, and then it was like, nope.
Right.
Nope. But I have not had, and I love that. It's like don't tell my other tanks. That's my favorite tank. My 55 curse tank is my favorite tank. But like, I mean, it was my first big tank, if you call it big, my first big tank, my first planted tank, my first dirty tank, my first time trying to aquascape and do something more than throw shit in the tank.
Right.
It was a lot of firsts for me. So, I mean, it's just, you can't help but love the damn thing. So,
yeah. But we grow with every mistake that happens, We grow in the hobby.
If you're not learning something new, you're doing something wrong.
Yep.
Because there's always new information, even the old information looked in a different way or seen through different glasses. There's always new information to be gained. So if you're not learning something new somewhere every day, you have decided you've had enough, and there's no hope.
That's the best part about this hobby is that it's just so vast, and there's so many ways to do it.
Exactly. And yeah. So as speaking of stocking, also there's the problem of not thinking of your current livestock when you pick out new livestock. Yeah, you may think, oh, well, they had these parameters and that parameters, but you don't necessarily know. You don't really think about whether they'll get along or aggression.
You get so in love with that new fish, you just have to bring it home and don't even think about the current fish that's in the tank you want to put it in.
Right. You end up getting a guppy, and the only thing you've got is a betta that's killed every snail you put in there. But I'll be okay with the guppy, and then boom, dead guppy. I mean, I don't know. I've never put a guppy with a betta, so I'm just throwing some names out there. So don't come at me. No, no. But I mean, even situations like that, you don't. Or when you bring anything home to your community tank and you don't have I hadn't gotten there yet. Have a backup plan. Backup
plan.
Yes, I think I'm gonna throw this list away because I just keep going all over it anyway. But yeah, I mean, you're not thinking of the current tank residents is not a good thing, because that's like moving somebody into your house, your community space.
It's like finding somebody off of Craigslist. Hey, you want to move in?
Yeah. And mom and dad won't mind. It's their basement. So yeah, I mean, they were there first, man. They were there first. Don't bring nobody home like that.
Yeah.
Some creepy dudes or something. But no. And then the whole thing with the backup plan, like we were talking about, bringing home something to put in with a betta. I mean, yeah, you can try that. Some bettas handle it, some don't. For example, you always want to have a backup plan. You always want to have, another little 10-gallon you can sit to the side to remove one of the other inhabitants or whatever you need. Just even if you don't have the gear, have something you can do. A divider, you know what I mean? Just have a plan, have something in place.
Yeah.
Removing a lot of fish at once can cause issues too. Oh, you mean like with stocking? Dan says that. I think I missed some. Missed some. I forgot about.
That's interesting. Removing a lot of fish at once. I never thought about that one being a problem or a mistake, or because I don't understand how that could be.
Yeah, I mean, I
detrimental.
Can see because of how fragile the balance is in the glass boxes. I can see where it might disrupt something, but I'm not really sure necessarily where it would be a negative.
Enlighten us, Dan.
Yes, Dan. Teach us, Dan, the man. Oh, Henry.
Oh, I wish I could see I can see the comments, but then the screen goes away.
There you go. You can bugger up your cycle. Like, in what way, though? I mean, it would just have, I know some of the bacteria would die off because they didn't have as high of a bio load But other than that, and having to rebuild it by adding slowly again, I don't know what the, and Henry says his problem is that the quarantine tanks becomes another aquarium for me.
Yep, that's me.
Me too.
That is me.
One,
That's how I get extra tanks past the other half here. I tell him I need a quarantine tank. That's it, and he's like, okay, and then it's a real tank in no time.
Yeah, you remove a lot of food from the bacteria. So yeah, it doesn't keep the
right. The bacteria would die down, but it wouldn't
right. The only
necessarily. I don't think all of it would die back. You'd still have plenty of bacteria for whatever's left.
Yeah. And I mean, you would have to reintroduce slowly to build it back up, or you'd have
right. True.
But I can't. Is there an example of it having when the bacteria dies? Hold on, bacteria dies and then becomes a waste that has to be dealt with. Oh, I never really thought of it as. I never realized.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. I never thought about that.
I never realized that they would be big enough to cause any sort of the release of ammonia or whatever would be big enough to cause any sort of blip in the radar, so to speak.
Good to know, though.
Yeah, that is good to know. So I will keep all the fish in my tank, and nobody can have any extra fish because I have to keep them. Okay, if you know, you know. So, but yeah, that is interesting. I mean, I could see where it have detrimental effect on the cycle, but I didn't think anything about it actually causing waste product in the water.
Yeah.
Let's see. And now there's less bacteria to deal with all the new waste.
Yes, that makes sense.
For itself, yeah. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything major in here I don't want to. Oh, okay. We were talking about this earlier with the advice thing. Just taking, how did I have it put on here? Accepting online or pet store advice without further research. Now, this is something that not just beginners, I think, are guilty of, because I know that my local fish store is pretty reputable. They're pretty decent. They, I don't always agree with things, and sometimes things are a little iffy, but that's with any fish person you meet. So for the most part, they're reliable and they're decent people to work with. So sometimes if I'm not careful, I don't double check. Like he'll tell me, trying to think of something. Oh, I talked to my friend. She really liked these fairy cichlids, okay? Really liked them.
They're beautiful.
And they are gorgeous. And I'm glad I got them now, but anyway, that wasn't the intention. I was having her get them for her. Well, at the time, we were thinking about them being small fish. Yes, they're cichlids, but wasn't really thinking about it in the terms of the same aggression as, so not thinking about it, we're like, so will they be good with Corys? And he's like, well, I don't see why not. So we took the cichlids home, the fairy cichlids home with her, and we took the Corys home. All was fine. She acclimated them, put them in the tank. The Corys were on the bottom doing their thing. The fairies were in the mid column, kind of going to the bottom a little bit, but mostly just staying to themselves. Next day, she says, we got to do something. I've got to move these Corys. I said, why? Those cichlids killed 2 of her Corys overnight.
The fairy cichlids?
They did. They beat them to death.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Hey, Adi. Annie's here. Annie's here. I will show you.
Annie.
But yeah, so of course I feel partially responsible for that because I'm the one that was like, yeah, they'll be fine. He said they'll be fine.
Are they by themselves now?
Yeah.
The fairy cichlids?
Yeah. So yeah, they're by themselves now. So, and that's another thing, we just took the advice. It's not that you can't take advice. It's not that you can't find somebody that you trust and you find reputable and reliable and that you can generally trust what they say because they have experience or knowledge or something that gives them credibility.
But it's better to get a lot of different opinions and then take a general consensus from those opinions.
And then apply to how it works for you.
Yeah.
You can't just take one thing and say, oh, this is black and white, this is concrete, this is how it goes. No, your tank is not my tank. You have no clue what's going on in my tank, and we may have
very few things in this hobby are black and white.
Oh yeah, well,
I feel like.
I know, right? I was gonna say something smart ass like comics or something, but yeah. So, taking the thing with knowledge is there's so much of it now. It's everywhere. You can find. I mean, freaking entertainment platforms, YouTube, a bunch of knowledge. If you look in the right places and you do the research and you take a few minutes to see what you're looking at and take in the info, you know what I mean? And just really quality check it. If that makes sense. Just
there's a lot of conflicting advice out there.
And the funny thing is some things that's okay because that means there's more options for how you do things and more ways of looking at it. Now there's some things that are pretty much knowledge is knowledge, fact is fact.
Right.
There's a difference between doing things different. That's like somebody saying there's no nitrogen cycle or you don't have to cycle your tank. Okay, yeah, you don't have to cycle your tank, but the tank's gonna cycle whether you do it or not.
Right.
Are your fish gonna get sick and filled with ammonia and hurt while they go through this process and be lucky to be alive on the end? Or are you gonna watch it and take care of it, make sure your fish are safe?
Right.
It's like, it's gonna happen. The fact is, it's going to happen because it's just a fact of nature.
Yeah.
But how you do it, what you do to make it happen, what you do to continue build it, how long it takes, all that is unique to you, your situation, your tank. So it's I'm being on my soapbox now. I'm like, you need, but so yeah, so that's, I guess what I was trying to say is that multiple sources, consider the source, but don't, even if it's a good source, always fact check.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Zim says he gets overwhelmed. Different places have different gospel advice and they conflict sometimes. See, that's where people mess up. They make any advice, any piece of advice, gospel
and then it can
advice.
be stressful. Well, who do I listen to?
Right. Right. And yeah, who's the gospel here? Who's got the gospel truth? So, but yeah, I did not mean to do that. Yeah. Oh, Dan says you can always just listen to me. Oh, we do, Dan, but we also let it go right like this. I'm just kidding. We love you, Dan. But no, and anybody that knows that is worth listening to anyway is going to tell you to double check me, make sure that I'm not, they're going to tell you, they're going to have no problem with you getting a second opinion, or so to speak,
I feel like these birds are extra loud out here.
Oh, I'm always talking about overfeeding the fish. When I started this hobby, I overfeed my fish and often fell.
Oh yeah.
This is
people. They definitely don't need fed as much as you think.
They also don't need to starve as much as you think. Like, I have a little bit of a technicality. Like, I don't know. To me, I feel like if the fish eat it all, it's not overfeeding. If there's nothing left, it's not. I don't care how fat my fish are. I don't care that they roll side to side. Them bitches eat. Them people eat.
Yeah, but you could cause like bloat. Some fish can eat themselves to having issues.
I'm totally joking, but like I don't seriously do that. I do have some fat cories, but that's because they got eggs. But
right, I call them blimps when my cories get real round.
I do. Don't get me wrong. I feed my fish generously, especially when I've got bottom dwellers. Cories, I firmly believe there's nothing wrong with having stuff on the substrate for an hour or so after you feed. Let them play with it. If it's not gone in an hour, then pick it up. But
they're grazers.
Yeah, and that's why, and I don't see any reason why you can't give your fish multiple small meals a day. Small, what they will eat, because in the wild, when their food is plentiful and they're eating it when they want to,
all day, a little bit, all day long.
All day long. And to me, people are like, well, they can go days and days and days. Yeah, they can, but that doesn't mean they should.
Right.
Make them. How do you feel when you? Yeah, we can go days and days and days without food, but we sure as hell go into that fridge if we get hungry. It don't matter if we need to stay away from the refrigerator. We're going if we're getting hungry.
Right.
So, what's wrong with feeding? I don't. So I've been gotten a lot of flack about how much I overfeed my fish, but I just feel like if they're eating it all and they're not getting sick and they're not overeating, and I'm feeding them small meals and I'm not fouling the water, then I don't see how me feeding a lot is overfeeding. Because I'm pretty generous with my portions. But like I try to feed twice a day. I feed prepared and plate foods in the morning, and then if I've got it, I feed live or frozen at night. But I also don't. Okay, that's a lie. I'll start to say I also don't feed so much that they can't eat it all at once. But that's not true because for my Corys, I always leave extra in for them for an hour or so they can graze. So I'm really bad.
That's the best thing about rapashi is I don't have to worry about it, just chilling in the water for long periods of time. That and the zucchini.
Yeah, Dan says you really can't overfeed the fish. Yeah, I know we can. I was just being flippant. I wasn't actually saying you couldn't. I just get a lot of flack because I feed frequently and I feed generously, and people are like, well, it'll foul the water. And I'm like, well, then take your siphon and vacuum it up. It's not that hard.
I won't lie. I maybe feed once a day unless I've got, fry and then, then it's a different story. But and I will fast them maybe a day a week or two or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying don't fast your fish or anything like that. I'm just saying that just because they can doesn't mean they should have to.
Right. No, I get it.
But again, and I don't get me wrong, when I first was generous with my portions, I was a lot more generous, and I did cause problems. I had a couple of fish that ended up with, they were tetras, so that tells you something. They ended up with bloat, and I did the fasting, got through it, and I think I lost one of them. But like, you really have got to learn what overfeeding is for you. It's another one of those personal things because it depends how many fish what fish you have, how they eat, what you feed. There's so many factors that go into it. Like generally, if your fish are not dying and sick and overbloated and stuff, and if your water's not foul because you're not cleaning up your mess, and if it's all getting eaten, everybody's happy, then it works for you. Just don't. I mean, it goes back to you making the choice of whether you clean up after it or if you slow down. And you
can always feed like a little bit and then feed a little bit more, like little bits at a time instead of like a whole bunch all at once.
Sprinkle some in and a little bit at a time, watch them eat it, do a little bit more. And except like I said, for my Corys, I always make sure there's plenty on the substrate for them for a little while. But again, if I go back and there's still food on the substrate after like say an hour, give or take, something like that, then when I have between 15 and 20-ish, maybe Corys in there, I think maybe more, I don't know, in my 75, and I've got 10 in this 55, probably 12 or 15 in this 55. Anyway, out of those 3 tanks, I've got a lot of Corys. And if I have put enough food on the substrate that it's still there after an hour maybe, then I fed too much. And I will clean that up and I will adjust accordingly.
Right.
But it's again going back to the whole, you got to monitor, you got to pay attention. If you're going to feed like that and you're not just going to feed a little bit at a time and feed once a day or whatever, and you are going to feed like I feed, then you have to be ready for
more on top of that.
Yeah. But I want my Corys to be happy and breeding and spawning, and
that's part of the, I think, upside about like culturing like live blackworms in your tank when you have Corys and stuff like that, and just live foods and stuff, because that way they can go and graze all day, and you're not worried about, am I going to foul the water by feeding too much,
That was the main reason I started getting Corys in the first place. I love those little bastards.
They are a favorite for me too. Gotta love Corys.
When I had the septicemia in my tank, I think the most heartbroken I got was when I walked in and I saw my favorite little buddy on his side, my Corey. And I was like, I was in tears. And Nita was like, Mom, it's okay. It's the Corys and they're strong. And I was like, I didn't know until now, but it can't be my Corys. I'd rather it be Sid. She goes, oh my God, you do not mean that. I was in tears. It just hit me. It hit me hard. So, but of course, I didn't mean that. I didn't want it to be Sid, but still, it hit me with Corys. I had the Corys long before I had Sid. So, but yeah, and that's another thing. I also, my tanks aren't just for decoration. I'm trying to breed almost everything I've got in my tanks.
Right. And you have to feed those differently sometimes.
Yeah. And which, maybe when I was, a super, super beginner, I just was preparing for when I wasn't. And I didn't know it. That's why I fed so much. No, but yeah, so I think there's a balance. Like, it just depends. You can, like, if I were to go away for the weekend or something, I wouldn't be worried about my fish other than my fry that need to be fed a couple of times a day. I wouldn't be worried about it's not going to hurt them to miss a meal. But at the same time, I keep them fed enough that I know it's not going to hurt them to miss a meal.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, yes, of course, there's such a thing as overfeeding. Of course there is. If your fish is sick, your water's foul, you're not cleaning up your mess, they're not cleaning up the food. Yeah, of course you're overfeeding. But it's not anything that can't be fixed. So, let's see. I can't read hardly today. Oh, neglecting or not learning or understanding your biome, your microbiome. That was one that Christopher had told me. Neglecting the microbiome or not learning or understanding it. Disrupting the beneficial bacteria in the tank can cause instability. Yeah, it's essential to understand what's going on in your tank. Oh, yeah, just like we were talking about before, whenever I first started cycling, the cycling process, all I knew was that the bacteria goes on the filter and the bacteria transfers. I didn't know any details of it. I just knew the basics just enough to cause me to cycle it. But then I couldn't figure out why when I started having problems cycling it, I didn't know enough about it. I didn't know enough about what was going on in my tank, the natural, I guess, the nature. Are you frozen?
Maybe. Am I?
You are now. Okay. Like, wait a minute. But
it was lagging a second.
Yeah. Just like not knowing what's going on in the, just, I guess, I don't want to say science behind it because it is the science behind it, but it's saying that makes it sound intimidating. Like you got to go to college classes or something. It's really not that. It's really not. It's just a matter of getting familiar with what's going on in the processes in your tank. Because when you're familiar with something like that, and then you have a much quicker reaction when something goes wrong. You know more where to look or what to expect from certain things or what things would be good ideas to try, stuff like that. You've got more natural tanks than I do. You talk about it. You've had tanks longer than I have.
So I think it's more important, to focus on growing the plants and the tank as a whole system rather than worrying about caring for the fish necessarily. Right. At least, because if your fish are in a good environment, your fish are going to thrive, So you really need to be more concerned, I feel like, with the environment you're putting them in and focusing on, the tank being able to grow plants more than, oh, how many filters do I have? Or, worrying about the bacteria, so much as worrying about the plants and the system as a whole. And, instead of just focusing on, the beneficial bacteria and that's it.
That's what I mean. You have to get familiar with the microbiome, as he put on there. I wouldn't have ever thought to say that, but just knowing, because it's a closed system. The only thing that comes in or out of it is what we put in or out of it. I mean, it's not part of the outdoors. It's an enclosed space that we are trying to control. And you don't have any semblance of control if you don't at least have a bare understanding of what you're control. Oh crap, it's Zane's birthday. Happy birthday, Zane.
Whose birthday?
Zane Ninjatron Gamer.
I thought it was his birthday the other night. But happy birthday, Zane.
I thought somebody just told him happy birthday, so I thought it was his birthday today. I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't have you on my calendar.
Happy birthday at some point, Zine.
And good night, Rosie. Sleep tight, and
you might I'll probably be able to be on for a little while longer, but my phone might die eventually. So if I cut out, that's where it went. But I'll stay in as long as I can.
All right. I mean, I don't foresee this one going for hours and hours because my brain's cotton right now. So, but yeah.
Well, I mean, if anyone else has any, big mistakes they want to share that, happen to you guys, just chime it into the chat.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I have one more mistake, but it's kind of corny, but it's a big one. But we'll talk about that in a bit after everybody else has chimed in. So if you were to say one big mistake, not necessarily life-altering, huge, earth-shattering mistake, but something that you would want to avoid in the future, a mistake that you've made that you might want to give somebody else a chance to avoid.
I made a mistake not too long ago by in my 10-gallon fry grow out tank, I have a tiny baby golden wonder killifish. And I'm breeding swordtails too. I put a super fat pregnant female in the 10-gallon with my golden wonder killie fry. And the whole time I was thinking and worried about the golden wonder getting eaten by the big female, when what I should have been thinking about was the newborn fry getting eaten by the wonder killie baby. Apparently, newborn swordtails are smaller than golden wonder fries. So even if they're tiny babies, they can still eat all your fry.
Oh yeah, especially if they're killifish, because I don't even think they're born with bodies at first.
He looks like he's all mouth. Yeah, he's all mouth and eyes.
Pac-Man with a tail. That's all it is.
Yep. So noted for next time.
Okay, so next time we're just gonna have. I'm slightly distracted because my juvenile cories that have just started spawning, they've spawned 3 times, and the eggs just all fungused up and they're done, and they're hatching. They started hatching right before the lot, and there's methylene blue in their hatching container. So I'm a little antsy about it because I'm trying to move them out as they hatch, but there wasn't any more to move. So I think they're hatching, and I'm antsy.
Right now?
Yeah, well, it started. I took 2 out of there and put them in the breeder box right before I hit go live.
Oh, very cool.
And so they're in the process of hatching. So I'm kind of like a little worried because the breeder box is really circulating the water, and then in the hatching box they've got methylene blue, and it's not good for fries. Oh, we lost her, I think. Hold on.
No, I'm back.
Like, yay! Figured out how to come back.
The thing about my tanks is that they're just so full of plants that catching anybody out for any reason is a chore, to put it lightly. So I haven't really pulled any eggs.
He says he killed a fish by using too much RO water during a big ass water change. Yeah, that sucks. So did you, apparently the parameters were obviously largely different.
Yeah.
That's usually what happens. I actually killed, I didn't know about pH shock. This poor tank just went through it, man. Matter of fact, it was the first time I lost.
Same tank?
Yes, the cursed tank.
The cursed tank.
Oh, it's my curse. It's a blessing and a curse, don't they say? But I had put a bunch of driftwood in there. It was beautiful. It looked great. The tannins were gorgeous, but then it started getting dark and I couldn't see anything, and like literally could not see my fish through the damn water. And I was doing these small water changes and it wasn't doing anything. I didn't know that it affected the pH or the quality of the water. I didn't know it had any effect on that. So while my already soft water was softening to really low levels, I was unaware of this, and I did like a huge water change. So that way I just wanted to lighten the tannins. I didn't even want to take them all out. I just wanted to lighten them so I could see my damn fish.
Right.
3 fish died in the next 3 days. I didn't even know. It took me 3 months, I think, 2 or 3 months to figure out what I had done. They killed them because they were not showing any signs. And just after the water change, they started acting erratic, swimming funny, but not like they had swim bladder disease or anything. They would look like they were drunk and would swim to the top like they were gasping for air, but none of the other fish were doing it. Like they were all kind of at the top, but these 3 were like, looked like they were half out of the water. And yeah, I lost them one after another over the next 2 or 3 days or something like that. And found out a couple months later, I was doing some research on tannins and driftwood and how it affects pH and stuff. And I was like, holy hell, that's what happened. And I looked up the symptoms of pH shock, and sure enough, they're like little drunken gnomes when they're pH shocked.
Too much change too fast.
Yeah. So I didn't even know that was a thing. So, but yeah. Radical change to GH, she said. Oh. We have 8 people in here now. Woo, I'm feeling famous. Yeah.
I try not to do anything bigger than maybe like 20% at a time, 25% at a time, if I can avoid it, just because my source water is vastly different from the tank water pretty much all the time because I use botanicals and such.
Yeah. Well, I learned the hard way. Well, okay. Let me preface this by saying I'm saying under 6, and I'm only saying under 6 pH because that's as low as the damn test will go. Okay. I have learned that if your pH drops too rapidly, too low, below 6, and like I said, it's only 6 because that's the lowest on the scale on the API test, that it can stall and hibernate your cycle and cause you to have buildup of ammonia and nitrites. But when it stalls that low, ammonia turns to ammonium, which is non-toxic to fish. So
right, that's how blackwater tanks work.
I had like 8. I was maxed off the chart on ammonia. Whenever my tank did it the first time, maxed out on the chart. I don't know how we got that quick. Only thing I can think of is it had 50 fish in it. So, and it was like it shut down. The cycle just like stopped working. It wasn't the ammonium nitrite I had in there for days until I got the pH up, which I was worried about doing after pH shocking my fish the first time. And when I didn't really know what the pH issue was. So I was trying to get it up, and then when it finally got up, that was when it was the problem, because the cycle starts working again, yes, but there's a buildup of ammonia and nitrite that is turned from ammonium back to ammonia, which is toxic to fish again. And now your cycle has to catch up. Even though it's waking back up, it has to catch up and get all that built up ammonia. So that was a tough couple of weeks when it did that the first time. Now that is one tank I test frequently. Mm-hmm. Because it does. I do not, still to this day, do not know why it over all my other tanks will drop so drastically. The only thing I can think of is that nitrates do have I know that nitrates have an effect on pH, and the nitrates in that tank get up there.
Well, then you said you had pretty low KH too.
Yeah, well, KH is like generally two, yeah. I think.
Yeah, so you don't have a lot of buffer to hold your pH to begin with.
No. So whenever, that's funny. The funny thing is that after the first pH issue where I did the pH shock with the fish, I took all the driftwood out of it, and I didn't put any more back in it until after I was having the problems with the pH dropping. And I only put it back in it because I had to house a pleco in it, and it was its favorite piece of driftwood, and I could hardly ever get the damn pleco off the wood. So I just put the whole thing in the tank. But now I just keep on top of it. I do water changes more frequently than I do for my other tanks. And I find that evens out and keeps it from lowering too quickly. So, okay. Dan says nitrate doesn't affect pH.
Yeah, I don't. I think what affects pH is the all the biological processes going on in your tank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, more than, nitrate is part of it, but I think it's just,
It's not the
the
nitrate itself, yeah.
yeah.
Well, that makes sense because Dan is saying the cycle itself will lower the pH, but the nitrate isn't hurt. That makes sense because I wasn't
Yeah.
really sure how, but that's what I had read, and I guess what I read didn't really go into much detail in explaining it. But that's why I always say double check things I say because I will only tell you things I've read and heard and understood to be. But I will do my best to say, hey, this is what I'm not saying this is fact, but yeah, I can see where the process itself would lower the pH, and the nitrate by itself is just, it's not, which makes sense because I'm always telling people nitrate's not the big time killer that everybody freaks out about.
Right.
Oh, 5 ppm of a nitrate to a 50% water change and remove those fish. So yeah, I'm just that's probably, they might have said something wherever I read that at, but I read so much and watch so much stuff about fish. Like I've forgotten more than 2/3 of what I've watched or read that could be actually factual. So
Well,
yeah.
nobody knows everything, and
Oh
we're
no,
all
I
learning every day.
I'm not gonna tell you. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, I've been pretty lucky so far on the mistake front. I think I haven't lost a large number of fish to anything. I haven't had any tanks explode or overfill crazy at all, or anything like that. Like, it's been pretty smooth sailing, knock on wood, so far. And I've been doing it maybe like not very long, maybe like 2-3 years.
Yeah,
So,
see, I don't know.
but I
think you're
only have
not
2 tanks,
so
a
like
40 breeder and a 10. So
I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit though, because with us talking about these things, these mistakes people make and these misconceptions, there are a lot of things that you've had a backup plan. You've had contingencies in place for these situations. You prepared, and whether you meant to or not, you laid a plan in place. And so to prevent you from doing these things. So basically you learn from other people's mistakes. So
yeah, I definitely spent every living free second I had when I got into this hobby was watching as much content and getting as much advice from everywhere I could find it and stuff, and listening to everybody's stories. And then, I just took that and ran with it, I guess.
Dan's trolling over here. We're giving him good topics to discuss in more detail tomorrow. We're giving him content. Where's our paycheck? What?
Yeah, Dan.
Come on now. I don't go on your live and announce my live and stuff and talk about. Oh wait, yes, I do all the time.
Maybe we'll start our own OnlyFans and we'll outcompete that.
Heck yeah! Oh god, people be paying me all right. Pay me to put my clothes back on. Please, don't make me watch this. I'll be like, here goes the shirt. It's getting hot in here. Somebody, Henry, I think it was Aquarium, and now I couldn't remember his real name in the first place, and now I can't remember his screen name. Henry, whatever his screen name is now. And I forget what. Oh, he said something. He commented on one of my posts, and he said he wasn't going to wear shoes, and I told him he better wash his stanky feet because I didn't want to smell it. And he said next is going the shirt. I said, you guys are lucky I even wear a shirt in the live. As hard as it gets in my house, you guys are lucky I'm wearing a shirt. But Dan's saying something clever. He's saying that wooden hard. Oh, that was funny, Dan. I'm not really sure what it means, but that's funny.
Okay, Dan.
Good job. Good funny. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Dan. That was me.
We love you.
We love you a lot. I mean, I can't even be really mean to him because he's literally the very first YouTube live I've ever watched was his. And he's still the only live that I ever watch frequently. Like, I don't want to say religiously, but I guess that would be the right word.
The one of the only lives you make a effort not to miss. Put it that way.
Yes. And a matter of fact, it's gotten to the point where if I do miss, people are like, "Where? What is she okay? What's wrong with her?" Like,
Yeah.
I don't have a life to the point where people are worried. And he says he meant it wouldn't be hard to outdo his OnlyFans. I think it's easier for girls because guys are pervs.
Hold on. I'm gonna give y'all a little show here.
Oh God. Woo woo.
My fish are all over the place.
Oh, look at the. I always call them little Dietrichs now.
Oh, the Pandagaras?
Yeah, I really, really, really want to get like 60 of them suckers.
He's shimmying up.
Oh, I told you about my bully Corey's, didn't I?
Yeah. The Akara, they were bullying Akara.
Yeah, he's like 4 inches, and he at least 4 inches, and he's boss hog. But when it comes to those little like 1.5 2 inch Corys, he will literally be swimming along, and they will decide he's in the way, and they will just bulldoze right through him, just right through him. The other day, he was kind of sitting in the corner looking at the electric blue Akara on the other side of the glass. Yeah, I love your tank now. Looking at Gidget,
I figured I'd give him something to look at.
Right. He was on the Gidget was on the other side of the glass, and they were kind of glass surfing together, going up and down the glass. Well, he was in the corner, and the Corys decided they wanted that corner, so they literally just started going up and down, up on, banging into him and everything. And like at first he backed away, and then he started to go forward again. They just kept hitting him, knocking into him, going up and down the corner. He turned around and went and hid behind the cave.
Like a chihuahua messing with a Rottweiler.
Yeah. Eyeball says he used to scrub his filters. That I'm sure you learned the hard way is not a good idea.
Oh, there's a little swordtail baby with some stringy zucchini hanging out of his mouth. He's dragging along.
Oh, same. Was it the same one that had the?
Yeah. One of them picked up one of these little baby swordtails picked up an entire zucchini seed and ran off with it.
Yeah, that was so cute. He was just tugging it around. Yeah, that was adorable.
Now he's just tugging around this string of zucchini parts.
So I think I told everybody this already, but I'm kind of still. Oh, Deadhead's in here. Deadhead, dude. I don't know what that was. Sorry. I did something that I most likely was not going to do. Again, I don't try not to deal in absolutes, so I try not to ever say I will never. Other than a few certain key things, I'm pretty sure I can be safe saying I'll never do. But I said I was not going to have any live bearers. I mean, maybe every once in a while, maybe sometime in the future when we've got everything settled, I might get like a half beak or something. But I certainly did not want guppies or mollies or maybe endlers. That was the way I said it. Maybe endlers. And I kind of got a little bit into looking at endlers, but then I got guppies. I got a trio of guppies. What a shame.
I love live bearers.
I don't really know my reticence at having live bearers. They're cool and they have lots, and I love babies, but I don't know. There's just always been. Never really been. I've always thought they were beautiful, but never really been fond of guppies. And then he showed me the guy at the pet store, the guy at the fish store, showed me this really pretty red and like blonde colored guppy. Red, orangish red. And he was beautiful, and it was a male, had really pretty. And then he showed me the females. The females were almost all completely blonde with some red patches on them. And oh my goodness, I was hooked. I had to do it. And he says, how often should you clean filters? Well, that is really dependent on a lot of things, ain't it? I don't clean my sponge filters.
I only do it when the flow is like, noticeably less.
Yeah.
When your flow isn't as good.
I'm a little more, I don't know, annoyed by that kind of stuff. A little more, I don't want to say OCD because I keep saying that and I don't have OCD, but I'm a little more particular, I guess, about how often I do it because I don't like when I pull the sponges up out of the tank for junk to start falling and get all in my tank. So, and I'm not doing that crap where you put the bag around it and pull the bag of water out of the tank. That's just a pain in the butt. I'll just take it out every once in a while, give it a good rinse, and pop it back in, and we're good to go. But I've seen some people leave it until there was like literally gunk falling off of it. So
yeah. Or like I've seen Dan had this filter and it had like a bunch of moss growing out of it and stuff. Like, and he was like, believe it or not, it's still running.
That's funny. Well, I mean, that's what they're made for, isn't it? Hey, Myers. Dan says he's terrible with filter maintenance.
Yeah, I noticed.
Dean wants to become a dean. Eyeball says he barely cleans out his filters. You know, can't do membership until you. Did I say something about membership? Oh, no, never mind. That wasn't to me. Anyway, so Myers is here. We were talking about filters. Oh, yeah. Eyeball says he barely cleans his filters. But I think most people that aren't changing cartridges or something generally don't clean their filters out. Either they clean them out too much because they don't know any better, or they don't clean them out, very often at all. So I'm just a little, for one, I like to have stuff to do to my tanks, and when there's nothing to do to my tank, I make something up. So, but yeah. So anybody else got any extra, any mistakes? Okay, how about advice, like little tips or tricks that you think would make things easier for your friendly fish keepers? They don't have to be new anything that even experienced fish keepers could use. It could be anything, like freaking, I can't think of anything. Like I literally thought of absolutely nothing.
my phone, wallet, and keys spiel about how you should always go down a checklist before you do anything to your aquarium. Make sure you have all your ducks in a row before you just start getting elbow deep.
Right, exactly. Yes, that's anything like that. Tips and tricks, things that we can use. Stop talking about the Smurfs because I can't join in. I haven't watched Smurfs since I was little. I forgot the whole Dan was saying. I don't know if you saw it or not, but Dan was saying about how they are 3 apples high. The Smurfs. I was like, which apples? Are you talking about crab apples or Granny Smith or Red Delicious? What are we talking here? Oh, Deadhead Dave says his mistake is multiple tank syndrome, time to downsize. Ooh, see, that is, okay. I'm going to throw this out here, this corny ass tip, or this mistake that a lot of people make. And I say it's corny because it sounds trite and sounds, all gooey gooey, whatever. But it's true though. In all the stuff that catches us up, the maintenance, the making sure the fish are okay, the doing this and doing that, our day-to-day life, we forget one simple thing. The whole point of this hobby is to enjoy it. It's to relax. It's to just like do whatever it is that you do, interacting with your fish or plants or aquascaping or maintenance even, or with me, testing and stuff. Just doing that thing that, I don't know, that really gets you and hooks you. Just enjoying your tanks, enjoying them, enjoying the process, enjoying everything. And if I say enjoying one more time, I swear. But really just not getting out of that funk, that autopilot like we were talking about earlier, and just looking at it. And it may be taking my biggest thing that I love, and I promise you one of these days I'll do a short and give everybody the panorama of my living room. Mel will tell you what that looks like. She's a little she's a little unhappy with her living room right now.
Yeah, I have to sit in front of my tanks and make an effort to look at them because they're nowhere convenient for me to just enjoy. I have to get a fold-out chair and sit in front of it.
Well, then especially for you, it's more important because you have to make an effort, and it's so easy not to. It's so easy to be like, it's there. It's always there. Who cares? I'll see it when I see it. But when you take that time and you do just take a few minutes to enjoy it in whatever way you do it, if it's grabbing a filter and cleaning it out, or doing a head count on your fish, or checking to see if there's any eggs from your crazy spawning juvenile cories that are all over the glass. Anything like that, just whatever it is that catches you and brings you back to that moment, that place, that joy. I mean, it's just, that's the whole point of it. And I mean, I'm sure it's common knowledge by now that there's studies, I mean, scientific studies done about the effects of just the basics of enjoying an aquarium, just sitting and watching, what that does for mental health. And even, just past anxiety and past depression. And it just has applications in all, areas of your life, stress and everything. So just, if that's what you do, if your hobby is fish keeping, then take a minute and look at what you're doing. Just sit and stare. You don't have to think about anything. You don't have to analyze. You don't have to check for spots on your fish. Just look at it. Enjoy what you created, because that's what you've done. You've created something. And that's a big thing.
Yeah, it's very peaceful just watching your tank and not thinking about what you need to do to it.
Yeah. So, but and that's, one of these days when I get all this, it may not be until after, I get my rack put up, but one of these days I'll try to get I keep saying clean. My house isn't dirty. It's not like I don't have food or bugs and stuff. Well, unless you count the white worms. But I don't have food or things rotting around in my floors or nothing. I just have got stuff. I don't have anywhere to put it because I've got 16 tanks. And so everything is just kind of in disjointed piles. So if anything gets out of place, it looks like I haven't cleaned in, 5 minutes, but no. So when I get it situated and I get it in good enough repair that I don't feel like I look like a scuzz, I will show you guys a panoramic view of my living room, because this is one of the things that has really, really gotten me through a lot of really crappy times, thoughts and ideas, is just the fact that I can literally turn off all the lights in my house and my living room will be a light in tank light. And everywhere I look, there's a different fish.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And big fish and cichlids and guppies and freaking harlequins and killifish, and they're just everywhere. And I'm surrounded by this awesomeness. And even though I'm not that great at putting these tanks together, they're freaking amazing. They're beautiful. And I get to see them all the time. So, I mean, I think it's just really important to take for a minute and look at it and just appreciate it. You can do that anytime you want to. Anytime. So, Ival says, thanks for sharing your tank. Deadhead says, likes all your plants, Mel. Zine says, what is that? I don't know. Thanks for that input, Zine. And Dan says, MTS can cause burnout. Yes, it definitely can, especially that was one of the things, I forgot to mention earlier, is jumping in head first and getting too many tanks too quickly because of your excitement or whatever, and overextending yourself before you even realize what you're doing, and you're all excited, you've got all these tanks, and the next thing you know, hey, Mela. Hey, mom's here. Woo. And I think Mel has, her phone is gone or something. If not, she will be back. But going too fast, too soon. We had a little issue like that. I don't want to say we had a burnout because it's nowhere near that, but we had a conversation not long ago about possibly downsizing. And we talked about it. We were not really happy about it. We didn't want to. We thought about it. We didn't want to. But then we did, and we did, and we did. But then we got to thinking there was no one, not a single fish, not a single tank that we were willing to let go of. we didn't want to put any more up unless it was something like the tanks for the babies or something like that. But as far as our main tanks, there's nothing that we were willing to let go of. So, we just kind of, I thought that was muted. Anyway, totally lost my train of thought. Oh, we thought about getting rid of it, but when we realized that there was nothing we were willing to with, we decided instead that moment forward what we had until we got a little more organized and a little more of a routine, so it wasn't so full speed ahead all the time with it. Get those things stabilized and figured out. Dan's gonna listen to Frankie Valley. Oh, hi, Mom. I said hi. I think. Mom, Zeem's birthday was yesterday, and I forgot to tell him I think I told him happy birthday. Anyway, frick, I forgot what I was telling him. Oh, the burnout thing. So we're just gonna get a more of a routine down and get these under control, and because it's not too much. It's really not too much, honestly, but it can be. We had a lot of tanks that were doing cycles all at once. We had pre-cycled media, but even with pre-cycled media, you still got some semblance of cycling to do. There's still a process you have to finish, and because the bioload is not going to be the same, bacteria is not going to be equivalent to the bioload you're putting in when you take the filter from one tank to another. So it's going to have to adjust. So you have that period of adjustment. So with that, you still have to do testing and you still have to do water changes and stuff like that. We had several tanks all at once that we were doing that with. They had established filters, but they still needed a little TLC for a while, and it was just too much of that all at once with the intense need to pay attention to it. So now that it's starting to settle down and stuff, she's getting a little more eager, like, oh, let's get a new tank and all that stuff. But so that is what I think is the biggest mistake. No matter what you do, no matter how many times you try to do this right or do that right or do the right research, or we're always going to make mistakes. I mean, constantly. It's not, to quote the cliche, we're only human. I mean, it's just part of being alive. You're going to screw up. The point is to take that mistake, recognize it. That is the most important thing you can do. Recognize where you effed up, own it, and then learn from it. You don't just be like, okay, I know I did it, whatever. No, take that, analyze, figure out what you did, figure out how to make it better. Just really think about it and learn from it. Because that's how you learn. So it's just, and like we were talking about earlier, if you don't, if you aren't learning something new, something's wrong with you. So, but I think, like I said, I think that's the biggest mistake, is just not getting so caught up in everything that you don't take a minute to just enjoy your joy and just enjoy it, and I'm lucky enough that I get to do that no matter what direction I look. I mean, as long as the chairs aren't in the view of my tanks. So anybody got anything else they want to throw in? Advice, tips? We've already went through this, but I think Mella's lost. So Annie, I have, let's see. Hold on. I think I know, but let me double check. Oh, hold on. One more time. Yeah, I have 16, right? We don't have any more than what one in the bedroom? 2 in the bedroom. Yeah, but those aren't nothing's in them. So we have 16 tanks set up, and we have, we have 14 in here and 2 in there. Okay, so we have those, and then we have Yes, that's a good one, Eyeball. And that goes back to what we were talking about with thinking of the other fish. Who, me? Sorry. Thinking of your other fish you already have at home. When you go to the store to get something else, you have to think of the livestock that's already in your tank. Make sure that they are compatible. And it also goes to research too. You can't just walk up to the tank and be like, ooh, that's pretty. That'll go great in my molly tank. And it's killifish that'll eat all the mollies and the babies, and they don't even have the same water parameters. Or, yeah, worse than Oscar, Anita says. So, I mean, it's bare necessities. Yes. But yeah, we're not going to start singing, because you start singing, I'll start singing, and everybody will run away. But okay, so yeah, making sure your fish, oh, here's another one that goes right back to it: compatibility. There's people like Mel's telling me how she likes to have lots of snails in her tanks because it, helps with the ecosystem and with the plants, and keeps it cleaned up and stuff. And we got talking, and I was like, yeah, I had a bunch of snails too. I didn't realize it, but then I got coolie loaches. I had nerites and I got coolie loaches. Did not have a clue in the world. Matter of fact, I had read so much stuff saying that coolie loaches do not kill snails. And my snails ended up as shells, and I had nothing else in there that would have eaten them, because I didn't have my queen loaches at the time, because I didn't get them until I started having the pest snail explosion. So, but yeah, compatibility in your livestock is really important. So yeah, exactly. I can definitely light up one room. I don't think. Well, there's two lights on. I started to say I don't think there's any light, but there's a light on. But it's all good, Mel. We knew that it was coming. So you just left me high and dry. I'm so sad. But yeah, and it is quite often that I like to just turn off the lights and leave my tank lights on. Matter of fact, Mel and I were talking and about the fact that she would love to have a tank in her bedroom. And I was like, yeah, I'm so lucky. I said, I've got two tanks. I've got one on my bedside stand, and then I've got one at the foot of my bed over to the right, against the wall. And that's my 40 breeder cold tank. And it's one of, I keep saying this is my favorite tank, but it's one of my, they're all my favorite tanks. Screw it. They're all my favorite tanks. You can't make me choose which, baby. You can't do it. But I love it because I can lay in there and I can turn the lights off, and I have the light on. I have the lights on all my tanks except for the 40 breeder in my bedroom on timers. So they go off like I think it's like 10 or 11. I don't remember what I've got it set at now, but my 40 breeder does not. For one, I don't care. I cannot grow algae for the life of me. I've got hill streams in it, and they kind of would like to have some. So I'm constantly leaving the lights on as much as I can, but it's a cool water tank, and my tank is around anywhere from 60 to 65 degrees almost all the time in there. So algae is not too much of a problem. But I leave my lights on all the time, and then the last thing I do before I go to bed is tell my Alexa to turn off the 40 breeder light. So I literally get to stare at my tank until I close my eyes. So it's like, I didn't realize this was going to be a brag fest, honestly, but okay, I have a bed in the kitchen and he watches me cook all the time. Well, that's a good place to put him. That's a good place to put him. You never need any heater. Have your damn ice cream. Just stop. She's been showing me a sign for like the last 30 minutes. Can I have some ice cream? Can I have some ice cream? It doesn't matter if she had ice cream for breakfast. Nah. Oh, my ass. Didn't get to eat most of it. Anyway. Oh no, fish don't like moisture at all. Yes, it is, Mel. But the funny thing is, I don't really know. The only place that I've had tanks in here, well, there's two places really, in Anita's room, and the only reason I wasn't able to enjoy them when there was some in there is because what we had them on was like this far from the ground. It was like 2 feet from the ground. Like, and I'm not getting my fat butt down there, turning upside down to see the tanks. So, I don't. There and in the kitchen, and the kitchen wasn't so bad because anytime I went in there, I could check out my. But those were a little less enjoyable because they were mostly quarantine tanks, and some of them were fry tanks. So, but yeah, the only places that I don't really haven't really super enjoyed having a tank is in her room, and that's because of it being on that low table. So, okay, so. Anybody else got any? I was wondering, like, I was expecting Christopher to show up because, you know, it was a lot of, he gave me a lot of talking points, man. I thought I hope he could clarify some of them for us. You guys and your moist. My mom even in here still? She'd probably be all up in the game with you. Okay, guys, so what about it? Oh, we've already asked that. What about advice? Anybody got anything they got to add? What's wrong with Chris, Ivo? What's the matter? Did I miss something? Now I got to go back and look because I missed something. A roar. And there, I'm not seeing anything. What did I miss? Okay. Okay, now you got me wondering what you're talking about, Ivo. What's wrong with Chris? Oh, okay. Huh. Yeah, see, look, Dan's got it right, guys. Don't forget to like, because I know you like me, whether you like it or not. You know what you can do if you don't like me? You can breathe, because ain't nothing you can do about it. Ain't nothing I'm gonna try to do about it either. Sorry, I'm a little smart ass right now. Okay, so we've got 10 people here. It's more than when I started, but I think, like, I don't really think I missed anything. I mean, because we ended with my little cheesy roar. Yeah, that's right, roar. Mel says ice cream too. Hey, we have rainbow sherbet, honey. That shit is nice. What kind of ice cream are you getting now, Mel? Last time it was, what was it? It was something really good. I think it had like almonds or something in it. Stop it, Dan, you and your meow. Zine started that meow moo mess. No, wait, it was Gabriel that, no, it was Zine that had the moo and the meow. Zine can't make up his damn mind. Oh, that's what it was, Safari Tracks last time. See, oh, look at Cecil, he's coming in with a big roar. Heck yeah. He's telling it like it is. Somebody's who's texting me. Oh, I don't have to answer that. I should be answering that. Although it is a lady who wants to keep in touch, so because she knows about the breeding projects I've got going on, she wants to keep in touch for when it's time to rehome some of the babies. So, you know, here's the thing. You guys can make whatever noise you want. I was the dinosaur first. I came in like a bomb and I dropped it. Yeah. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But I started doing it first. And imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, so I accept. Thank you. Anyway. I mean, I can just sit here and just like stare at chat. I'm cool with that too. I don't really have much more to say. I mean, unless you guys want to go over like beginner mistakes, but I'm pretty sure most of us in here either already made them or we're past this point of making them. Because if you make those kind of mistakes now, it's kind of like, really? Did you do that on purpose? Oh, Mom's on her eyes. I forgot you were in here, Mom. You were quiet. That's not usual for you and your big mouth. Hey, you didn't call me last night. Anyway, my mom's neglecting me and everything. See, this is what I have to go through with people. This is what I have to deal with. She's got so much going on that she can't even call me. I mean, nah. Well, Mel says don't skimp on the heater. Here's the thing with that. I'm broke. I kind of had to. I mean, it's a lot. It makes sense. Use the extra equipment and the Inkbird and spend extra money on a good heater. But then when you live on a month, it's kind of hard to do that when you don't even know if you'll be able to eat breakfast. So, and Dan says, believing what the fish store tells you is a mistake. Yes, I thought we already said that. Mom, you commented. When did you comment? Hold on, I shall look. La la la. My mommy is important. She is my mommy. My mommy forever reigns. Except for food. The only thing I see was where you said happy birthday, Mom. Did I miss something else? You said hey sis, and then happy birthday, and then I don't see anything and anything and anything. You didn't. Are you sure you commented? Oh yeah, check. Yeah, check your little filter thing at the top. It'll say top. Click it and go to all comments. So, take that off. Okay, so I will says heat the room. Oh my God, no, I'm gonna have to. No, that's not, dude. No. You know why my cold water tank is in my bedroom? Because I keep it around 60 degrees in my bedroom at night, even in the winter. Matter of fact, in the winter, my living room nor in my bedroom ever got the heater turned on at all last winter. Not a single time. Not one time. For one, I have 14 tanks in here with heaters. And then two, I'm not sleeping in my sweat. I'm not doing that. It's gross. No, I'm good. So, I mean, unless they want to be cold like me, then, they're going to have their own little heaters. It's like you come to my house, you're going to have to wear a sweater because, yeah, wear a sweater. My mother says she's setting up another tank next week and it's all my fault. I don't know whether to be proud or ashamed. Yeah, she's actually getting some of my Corys and my Pleco, and one of my Plecos probably too. Who Dan says, this is a good one. Don't buy fish that require skills beyond your skill set. Very, very good point. And the thing that goes back to doing the research and not believing and, and figuring out, and not only that too, like with Dan with Mel discus. You don't, just because they say fish has to be taken care of so, like with the discus so meticulously, and it's got to be done this way or that way, and da 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 da. If you really have the experience and you know what you're getting into, and then yes, you can try different things with these fish. But if you're not experienced and you're just trying to get it, Dan says he's got skills. I think Dan got lucky. That's what happened. But no, like if you're really intent on getting and testing your skills with these harder fish, then do it right. Take the time, do some research, and see exactly what's needed. See where you can have some wiggle and where you really need to stick with the tried and true methods. Things that will work for others won't necessarily work for you, which, we hear that all the time. But that doesn't mean that you have to do things the exact way that other people are telling you how to do them. So I also says, don't buy fish that are smarter than you. Well, I almost said something really kind of not very nice. Oh yeah, this one. I'm brand new to the hobby. I think I'll start a beta sorority. I won't. In a what is it, a 20-gallon? No, nothing. Every time I open my mouth to say something, I have nothing to say to that. But yeah, it really is one of those things that you save yourself a lot of heartache by finding multiple sources of information, making sure those sources are as reputable as you possibly can get, and multiple sources. Make sure they're reputable, and then gleaning the information, using the information, and figuring it out for yourself through the information you can get. Like I said before, it is not difficult to get information. Like seriously, I hardly ever leave my house, and I can still know what's going on. You have TVs and computers and your stuff. You literally have the world on a little device in the palm of your hand. That you have it right there. And you probably pay like what, $100 a month for 2 lines or some stupid stuff like that. But the only excuse for ignorance is your own stupidity. There's just no excuse for it. I mean, nobody knows everything, but when you find out that you lack information on a certain area and you need that information, there's no reason you can't find that information other than you decided maybe you don't need it or you have enough information. But Mel says you have the world of dumb people right in your hands. Yeah, but there's smart people in there too. You just got to look for them, and that's where it comes back to checking out your sources, making sure they're reputable, making sure what they say makes sense, and you're not sticking with one source. It's like we were talking about earlier, quality control kind of thing. So anyway, so yeah, we don't want to. One of the biggest things I've seen lately is like, and I have TikTok on my phone now. Thank you to all you people in my messenger that you send me TikTok videos that I want to watch because you send them to me. So obviously they have some bearing on, something going on. So I would like to see them. But then you check those videos out for so many times, and then they tell you can't check them out anymore until you download and log into TikTok. So because I have so many wonderful people who love to send me TikTok videos that I probably don't give a flying F about, I'm just kidding, I love you. Anyway, I had to download TikTok, but I've sadly seen some of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. Not disgusting like morally disgusting, like people doing things, hurting their fish for views, or literally going and buying, just doing all these things that are very obviously not even something you should even consider. And people think it's okay, and they post it on these videos. And I guess I'm doing a similar thing doing my YouTube channel, but I think the thing that kind of gives me a little leeway is I'm learning and I'm trying to gather knowledge from all sources. And I think putting this stuff on video and sharing it, I guess, taking what may with it, helps me to learn stuff too, because I don't know, I've always read and heard and seen that when you go to teach something, you learn a lot more about it. So don't trust feeder fish at the store. That's a mistake. Not that one. That one's supposed to be don't trust feeder fish at the store. That's a mistake. You're better off feeding your fish almost anything else. Well, I don't really like the whole feeder fish thing, so I completely agree. I don't. I'm not down with the whole feeder fish thing. So that's just a different. Dan says feeder fish scare him. I mean, if I wanted to, I guess I could get like some big fish and feed my guppy fry to it. But why would I? Me and Mel had a conversation earlier that I think she knows very well how I feel about this. I don't believe that anyone has a right to end the existence of another thing or person, organism, whatever you want to call it, another living being. You don't have a right to take their existence from them for any reason. Unless they have given you consent and say they want it to be over, take it. You don't have that right. It's not your life to take. You didn't create it. You didn't, I don't think that, it's one thing to see things in the wild, cheetah eating a gazelle, sharks eating dolphins. Well, actually, anyway, you know what I mean? Predators eating prey, it happens, it's nature, but I don't know. That's a big tangent I don't really need to get into right now. Mel says, if you're going to feed your fish other fish, your own homegrown fry is safest. Yes, that is very true. I mean, it's like, because you run the risk of, it's no different. It's the same thing back into quarantining your fish. You throw those fish in there, you're introducing possibilities of disease and illnesses and stuff like that. So if you are going to feed fish to other fish, then your safest bet is to do stuff you know where it came from out of your own tank. No, it's not disease. So, I mean, that would be the way. I don't feed my fish other fish on purpose. They're too cute and I'm soft. Oh my God. We talked about my Cory culls, Quasimodo, remember? Dan's going to find a clip from HHGG about exactly the subject. What's HHGG? I feel like I should know what that means. Well, I'll remain blissfully ignorant until somebody enlightens me. I don't really know how I'm going to share that. How would I share that anyway? I don't know. But no, I'm not like, I've had fish that were very obviously on their way out. They were not doing well. They were sick and there was nothing more I could do for them. I'd already done everything for them. They were not getting better and they were getting worse. I could not. Oh, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Of course, that's why I should have known it. Oh my God. Anyway, now I'm ashamed. But yeah, I don't think that we really have. Okay, sounds good, Dan. Send it to me on Discord. I don't think we have that authority or that right to take the life of another living creature that's not. Just because we were talking about, it got started because I was telling her about somebody who had posted a picture of a short body Corydora. I don't remember the species. But everybody was saying stuff like, oh, it's deformed, you should kill it, call it, get rid of it, it shouldn't even exist, it looks so bad, and like they were just really being harsh on that poor Corey, like talking about how it shouldn't even exist and how she should kill it. And I was like, I was horrified. It's like, really? That fish did not choose to do that. That fish did not say, hey, let's just be born with a genetic anomaly. And I went on there and I was like, short bodied in and of itself is not, the gene for the short body is not in itself a defect. It's an anomaly, like being a short person. That's all it is. The problem that people have with it is, along with the short body gene usually comes defective or weakened genes, like again, I can't think of anything but bent spines, Mel. I told you this. So I went on there and I was like, I've had plenty of, I said, I've hatched and raised well over 600 at least Corys. I mean, minimum. So over the past year or so. So I know I've got 6 deformed Corys, 6 of them. They have varying degrees of crooked spine or bent tails, and they're almost all of them are short bodied. But I also have sold and still have about probably out of that 600, I think maybe like an 8th of those were short bodied. And I'm not talking about just small, I mean short bodied, short and fat. You can tell what they are. And they look like a mini fat short Cory. That's what they are. Now, I was putting that on there, and then some guy says, you should really adjust your definition of short body. I was like, okay, whatever. I'll do that right away. And I just let it go. And then this other person commented on there, showed me these pictures of balloon mollies and something else, all their like x-rays of them and stuff, and says, this is what killed me. Short-bodied fish should not be bred, which I agree with. We'll get into that. Should not be bred and should be culled because they live a shortened lifespan, and they might have compressed organs, which may cause suffering. So I said, first of all, I need to address 2 things here. First, if they have a shortened lifespan, what's the point of shortening it? I mean, if the problem is that it has too short of a lifespan, you're going to overcorrect and take the rest of it away from them? That just kind of seems a little redundant, killing something that's already on the way out. And then you have the problem of the compressed organs, which they might have, which could possibly be causing suffering. So I said, and I'll try not to recap the whole thing because honestly, I did like 10 screenshots of my comment. It was like huge. I was so mad. I started out with telling them how it was very, how did I put it? First of all, I said it was redundant for them to kill something early, kill something because it dies too early. I thought that was ridiculous. And I also thought it was super harsh to kill something because it might end up with problems. And I said that people who cull, meaning kill, their fish because of a genetic deformity, probably secretly are fans of Hitler with eugenics, because just because something doesn't look or act or be the way you think it should be, you don't think it has. And then, no, you don't want to keep it in your breeding stock. You do not want to sell it. You do not want, you don't want that gene out there because it is irresponsible and it will eventually most likely cause some problems. However, you don't take the life of something that didn't ask for that because it doesn't look the way you want it to. If your fish is eating frequently and without any problem, and it's eating voraciously, like it's hungry, you can tell it wants food, it's active, it's alert, it's not lethargic, it's not showing any signs of suffering, it's not showing any signs of pain. If it's showing all signs of being healthy, but it's got a bent spine, so it should die, I'm going to try not to be on a soapbox, but the whole point was I went through that. And then I told them, the other hand, you've got the ones that are so soft-hearted that they can't stand the idea of someone suffering, or stand the idea of an animal suffering, so they're going to put it out of its misery. Well, that's not really fair. Who are you to, if they're not showing any obvious signs and they're getting around reasonably well, they're functioning, they're, who are you say their quality of life isn't enough to allow them to live? Like, let me tell you something, if people were to put the standards on me that they do on fish, I never would have made it to 40. two, one, two, one, I think, 41. I never would have made it. So, and I told him, I said, you know, I will not condone or participate in the propagation of these genetic mutations, genetic diseases, because it does weaken the genes. It does cause health problems eventually. But, and I even said what Mel said about it. You know, I told him, I said, if we applied the same logic that we apply to animals and fish and stuff to humans, then we wouldn't have a problem with overpopulation on Earth. We would not have starvation and hunger, well, except for the rich people. That's a whole other thing. Anyway, we wouldn't have starving people because there'd be enough to go around for everybody, because we wouldn't have overpopulation. There'd be a lot of dead people. And I forgot my train of thought again. I read something. Oh, and I said, and assisted suicide would not only be legal everywhere, but it would be encouraged, because, you know, like me, I have issues that are physical issues that mean my quality of life aren't great. Technically, I suffer every day. There's a lot of crap I go through. I do. And if people were to put the same standards on me, I would be put out of my misery quite some time ago, probably quite often, every chance they got. So, I mean, like, and I put that on there. I said, so I don't think you have a right to take someone's life without their consent. Who's going to give that? Well, someone who's in a lot of pain, who it's never going to end, that kind of thing. But yeah, exactly. There's a difference between a fish that's gimpy and looks different and a fish that can't swim right or eat well and doesn't have any quality of life because of its deformity. Exactly, Mom. And my mom's husband, he had a stroke. He's bedridden. He can't function for himself. He can't. My mom takes care of him. And, you know, is his life not, his quality of life, is that okay for him to continue living? Or should we just be done? I mean, because he doesn't get to do all the things we get to do. So obviously he can't, you know, it's a lot. To me, it would take quite a bit for me to willingly end something's life. So I don't, and like Mel was saying, it's one thing for a fish to just have a genetic defect, like a spine, curved spine, and still, like, I had two short-bodied ones that I was telling you about. I named one Quasi, one named Quasimodo, and they both have a little indentation on the back of their head, right here. Like, their head comes over here and goes down like this, but then it goes up, and there's a big hump on their back, and they just look like this little. Both of them. One's a little bit bigger than the other, and I call them Quasimodo. Now, they eat, they swim, they play. I have videos of them playing in the bubbles. I've got an air stone in, and the bubbles are just going through it, and of them lining up and swimming through it. They're just fine. They're functioning just fine. They're not in any pain. They eat all the time, every chance they get. They're not ever sick, no problems. So what exactly warrants my decision to end their life? Because by all accounts, they're perfectly happy. So they have a quality of life that they're satisfied with. It's not unbearable and not worth taking their life over. But still, they don't look like what you want them to look like. They look bad, and you know, it's a genetic defect. They're not in my breeding group anymore. I'm not selling them to people, but I'm not going to take their life. I think that's extreme. So anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox. Anybody got anything else to add? Everything okay in there? Yeah. Okay. Anybody got anything else to add? Oh, wow, it's been over 2 hours already. It just seems like I looked at the time and it was like 35 minutes a few minutes ago. Cherokee people. Okay, so anybody got anything to add? I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here, and I don't want this to be all like a I'm on my soapbox, I'm going to preach to everybody and tell them how it is kind of thing, because I mean, I don't know everything, who does, but I feel very strongly very strongly that I would not even be able to take the life of another living being. I'm not even talking. Anyway, I couldn't do it. Like, I have a hard enough time killing spiders, and those suckers screw with me. They do. Like, I will act like I've had hot lava dropped on me if a spider comes near me. I will. I can't help it. My body does what it wants to because it's a spider. No thanks. Okay? I think they're little cool things. I think they're cool, but my body doesn't agree. My brain's cool with it. My body not so much. So those get dead because my body wills it so, whether I even think about it or not. But I even have a hard time with that. I feel bad. I always feel bad if I accidentally kill a spider and I don't handle spiders. So Dan knows everything. Yes, Dan. You told us you already told us you know everything. That's why you got so much to talk about. So yeah, so what are you talking about in your life tomorrow, Dan? Since I can give you some fuel for the fire. You got to talk about the nitrates and the cycle lowering pH and shit. So anybody? Does anybody know how to, there was at one point, I know on the chat, there is a delay. Like, I'll say something and it'll delay it before it gets to you. And so I'm waiting on you guys to talk, and you know, so yes, and Dan just now answered me, yes, how the cycle affects pH. So I know there's a delay. Does anybody know how to remove that? Because this is driving me crazy. I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to see if there's any, I have no idea. I really need to do a better job of figuring this out, because it's not, I don't think there's anything in the settings. How time works, Shirley. Smart ass. Talking about the delay. Smart aleck. I'll find it and then I'll show you and you'll pretend. Okay, let's see. No, nothing. No, nothing. Nope, nothing there. Nope, there. This is really not working. Well, okay. Obviously, it's not any of these settings, so. Yeah, I know, Laura. My problem isn't that I'm losing track of chat. My problem is I'm losing track of things to talk about, and chat's not fast enough. Oh, okay. Well, so this is a good one. One mistake Mel made was buying a top fin 40 breeder. Turns out it is not the same dimensions as Aqueon and gyps you like 6 inches of footprint. So definitely, if you want a good tank, keep up with the measurements. Do that. Pay attention to that, because I didn't know that. I don't know. I thought maybe they were all kind of standard the same. So that's a good thing to know. About the sand and everything. Yeah, somebody was telling me because somebody has given me a 90-gallon bow front. Who was I talking to? Anyway, and given me a 90-gallon bow front, and when we looked, I haven't gotten the dimensions of the specific tank yet. And when we looked online, there was like three different sites that gave 3 different measurements, like with 2 or 3 inches difference on the height or the width. And I was like, I can't build a tank stand off of internet dimensions, because if you don't know the brand, apparently they can be slightly different. And a stand's not that big of an issue as long as you get it big enough. But if if I were trying to make a lid for it or something, or buy a lid for it, and I got the wrong dimensions, I'd be pretty pissed off. So yeah, you gotta take the time to measure the tank itself. Especially if you're buying it secondhand, yeah, for sure. Damn, now I gotta show you the way out. Okay, let's see. Has anybody else got anything to add on to it? I just realized I haven't eaten anything since like 6 this morning, so I probably should go eat something. Yes, I will definitely read The Hobbit again. You cannot read that book too many times. It's a freaking amazing. I got the hold on. I'm not answering it, don't worry. I'm gonna get in trouble. Oh crap. Hold on a second. I think I might have to end this. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, hold on a second. I have got to answer my door. Give me a second. Anita, come get your bike, please. Is your line over? No, it's not over. Okay, my line's so long. Oh. Okay, my friend is here. We're gonna. I'm not like kicking you guys away or anything. I'm just telling you. We're gonna have to wrap up soon. So I wasn't actually expecting to have anybody show up on my doorbell. You can come sit down. Django. So anyway, are you guys talking about cake and moist again? What the hell, people?
Nothing better than moist cake.
Look, here's my special guest, Jason.
Moist cake.
We are going to see him in some videos because Django, kindly go off. Nice enough that I said it that way. Anyway, he is going to be yourself and the do-it-yourself things I'm doing. He's going to be there yourself. He's going to be my hands because he's got the tools and I don't. I mean, like literally. And he's also got hands at work and I don't. Although his shoulders kind of. Anyway, so okay. Jason won't die and disappear off screen. Like Mel was my guest and she was on here and then her phone died. So she, after a few times of her disconnecting because she. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, so if anybody's got anything extra to add, let's start wrapping it up because it's already been over almost 2 hours and 20 minutes. Everybody says welcome, Jason, and hello.
Hello.
So yeah, you guys are gonna get to see him in some videos because he's gonna help me with some DIY projects, and I'm gonna try to record them since that's the whole point of my channel, budget DIY. And that's lovely. I got recognized now. He's helping me figure out the best way to do it because he used to be a contractor. Well, you are still contractor. He's a contractor. So for a little bit. So he's helping me do the dimensions and figure out what all we need to do with it and the most cost-effective way to do it. And since he knows all the building supplies, building materials. So, okay, so I'm going to give it a 5, 4, 3. No. Anybody have any last words? My next live eyeball, unless something happens, I think next Saturday, same time, I have to get with a person or two. Henry just got here. I'm expecting it to be next Saturday at 4, like today's, like we've been doing. But yes, Mel, at 7 your time. But it's not confirmed until I post it. I will post it as soon as I know for sure. But if I do another one before next weekend, it will be next Saturday. That's the plan. So you got to stop talking about ice cream. No, I don't think so, Henry, because I think next week I've got a topic as well as someone joining me if they'll charge their damn phone.
Ice cream makes everything better.
Ice cream does, unless you're lactose intolerant, and then it's a problem.
Well, if you're lactose intolerant, you can't eat it.
That's why I said it won't make it better.
If
I
you're
know.
intolerant, you'll laugh.
Oh, okay, smartass. Getting all
Talk
technical.
to the doctors.
Anyway, okay, so, oh, I still got Mel's. Okay, you guys talk about ice cream. I am going to get something. Oh, you're going live at 9:30. Okay, that's 9:30 your time, so that's 6. Okay, I'll throw that live up there. Hell yeah. Yes, it did, Mel. You stuck with me for a while, and I'm very happy to say you did, so thank you. Dan, you put pants on? Where's your skirt? What the hell, dude? We talked about this. Hey, Deacon, you just made it just in time for me to, I'm literally about to push the button to end the stream. But yes, Dan said he's going live, so it is in, what, 10 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, holy hell, you ain't wasting any time over my corpse. No, I'm just kidding. All right, guys, go see Dan because he needs all your love and support. I know you guys don't want to leave me. It's so hard for you, but he needs your support too. He's very special. Okay? Yes, do your skirt, Dan. I love your skirt. Anyway, so bye. See you soon in Dan's live. See ya. Love you too.